Hey, everybody, welcome to Knowledge Fight After Dark.
That is, I'm amazed that we've stuck with that for so long. So,
I I don't know why. It's just something that I feel like maybe shows did in my childhood. Like I heard,
yeah, yeah,
and it's just a suffix to a show name that I think is fun. It's like
yeah.
things that wouldn't happen otherwise happen
Yeah, yeah,
after
yeah.
dark.
No, this is send the kids to bed. This
Right.
is about what happens when Knowledge Fight lets its guard down and gets real, you know?
Totally, totally. So Jordan, here we are. Today we're sitting here, and people will have noticed that there's no episode out today,
I
and
would
so
assume.
wanted to sit down and have a little chat, and so people can have something to enjoy, and then also talk about the dynamics, what's going on. And here's the long and short of it. Alex Jones is still out of studio. He's gone. Like I don't know where.
Wild.
He's probably still at that grocery store in
How long
Florida.
has he been at the grocery store for?
I mean, I feel like maybe they have an inefficient deli system, and he's like, he's waiting on some sliced ham, and he
uh,
just can't get back to Austin.
who has ticket 9,997?
Ah, damn it! I'm two.
9,997? No? Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I think if I had to guess, I would say that what's going on is that Alex miscalculated, and he wanted to be on the ground when like this whole situation blows up and like they arrest the store owner or something because
Sure,
he,
sure,
he
sure,
doesn't
sure.
make people wear masks or whatever. Like I,
Hmm.
I think he was hoping to be on the ground for like I'm at the center of this thing, and I just don't
Oh,
think.
it's like he was making a bet
Yeah,
that this if I go there, there's a 50% chance that this guy gets arrested and then I'm on the ground and I got the footage and I'm there.
yeah, but
That kind of thing.
even like not just because of Alex's attendance.
Uh-huh.
I think he was thinking that the state was going to crush this guy, and instead, the guy has a lawsuit that's going through the courts, and like I just don't think it's been as explosive or interesting as I think he was hoping, and that
Yeah,
would kind of explain the tenure of this trip.
sure.
But yeah, so the situation is I'm really itching to get back to present day Alex. I feel like we haven't checked in on him in a
It's
long
been a
time.
while.
The last two episodes that we had were both kind of adjacent characters, and I really felt that it'd be too much to do another sort of like force a Jim Baker episode.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I also listened to Carrie on Project Camelot. She interviewed a guy who was a street fighter or something, and it was
Not good enough. Not good enough.
no.
If it's not Blanca, then it's not Project Camelot. All right? Don't you Street Fighter me as though that's fine. Aliens or a fucking literal mutant.
I don't
The
know.
end.
I don't know if this guy's actually a Street Fighter, but I think his show is called Street Fighter or something like
Oh,
that,
okay. All right.
which I would assume would imply that he is a Street Fighter. Anyway, I don't really care.
Mhm.
It was bad and not worthwhile. And I was thinking like maybe continue down the Harrison Smith road. I felt like that
Sure.
might be an acceptable compromise, but I listened to Harrison's show from Friday, and I got so bored. It was it was just
Brutal.
the most boring bigotry. And
How can you be such an outright Nazi and bigot and still be boring about it? That's the banality of evil that disgusts me.
yeah, no,
How?
but I think that is something that's discussed in a lot of circles, in a lot
Yeah.
of corners. I think that when you are like outrageously hateful, there's a benefit to just being like snoozy about it. Not
Ugh,
flashy.
brutal.
Yeah. So basically, since Alex is still gone, I also had a bet that did not work out, and that
Yeah.
was I had bet that Alex would be back on Sunday. And so today, I was gonna listen to the Sunday show, and we're gonna make an episode out of it. He's still gone, and
Yeah.
so I kind of, back to the wall. What we've decided to do is we're gonna have episodes on Wednesday and Friday this week, as
Yeah.
opposed to Monday and Friday. And so that way we can still put out the most appropriate content. And I have to assume Alex will be back tomorrow.
It's really very funny to me that like It's hard to explain this, but when we don't have an episode, it's not because Dan was lazy. Dan did twice as much work as he normally does to try and find an episode.
It's different work, though. Like,
yeah, exactly.
It's taking in a lot of bullshit. And then when we have an episode, the work is generally like looking into things and preparing things and, grasping ideas that are presented to me and stuff. And I prefer that work a lot more than watching nut bars ramble around. But it is what it is, and it sucks. But I appreciate in advance everyone, I assume, being cool with it, and if they're not being too mean.
Yeah,
I just have a lot of feelings about, like, I take pride in the fact that this is a job and this is our work, and when something happens like Alex hanging out in a goddamn grocery store for a week.
That's not a thing that happens at other jobs, Dan. That's not a thing this isn't a sick day. This is our subject is at a grocery store day. I don't know what to tell. I don't know what to do.
It's a mess.
This is not a thing that happens to other shows.
Yeah, so I started reflecting a little bit. I started thinking about jobs. What was your first job, Jordan?
What was my first job?
Yeah, where'd little baby Jordan get his first taste of a paycheck?
Okay. Well, I will say this. I have, if you're from Illinois, if you're from the Midwest in that small town Illinois, your first job is when you're like 9 and it's detasseling or it's pollinating corn. Oh. That's what everybody, where I'm from does that. So technically that's my first job and I was fired from it. I started doing it.
You accidentally tasseled instead of detasseled?
I was putting tassels on top of the tassels.
Oh,
Take that, the man.
That's interesting that your first job was like agricultural in nature.
Yeah,
I don't think anyone would have guessed that.
Small town in Illinois, that's what you do.
Yeah, I guess so.
It lasted 2 weeks.
Okay.
I was fired because so my job was essentially to go down the rows of corn and pull out all the bad weeds or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I did such a bad job of it that the boss was the high school or the 8th grade PE teacher.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually my last day, everybody was getting off the bus because he drove you to work in a bus. And everybody's getting off and he's giving everybody their greetings. He's like, hey, you guys, it's great. We'll have a good day. And he stops me as I'm walking off the bus and he says, hey, Jordan, I'll give you a call if we need you. And that's how I was fired.
Wow. You were just pulling out all the good corn and leaving behind only the bad ones?
No, apparently he had people like follow me down the rows. He was like, somebody is doing such a shitty job.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to have somebody good follow Jordan down the row.
Wow,
and the guy
he
was
spied.
Like, I don't even think he did anything. And I remember strongly that I worked very hard.
I'm sure.
And apparently it was not at the right job.
Yeah.
That seems to be the situation.
Wow. But so after that, where'd you land?
After that, I worked
actual job.
First actual job. I was 16,
mm-hmm.
and I worked at the Ace Hardware store.
Nice.
Love it. What I did was I drove a forklift and moved like boards and put them places, and I got rebar for people.
Mm-hmm.
And I hated that job so much that when I injured my elbow playing football, I turned that into an excuse for like quitting the job.
Nice.
Like I was like, nah, fuck this. I've got an out. I'm not doing this shit. I hate this job. And I can't just quit because I hate it.
Sure.
I have to have an excuse for it. Yeah. As if they would care. You know, as if they're like, oh no, this 16-year-old boy is
we've got to talk him into staying.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. When somebody works at a hardware store this good, I don't know, we can't let him go, that kind of thing.
Next thing you know, he's going to be out there tasseling corn.
Yeah, exactly. We got to keep him off the streets.
I like that we both have sort of football related injury nonsense. 'Cause you had that, and then I faked an injury to stop playing football again because I couldn't bear the idea of like I just don't want to do this anymore.
I want to quit. I
Yeah.
just don't. This sucks.
Yeah,
I
2
don't like
days
this.
are awful.
Yeah, they're the worst.
Yeah, just people yelling at you to run in place and then do a push up and I'm not doing this in order to be like an offensive lineman. I'm not doing this. Yeah, my first job I guess was a paper route. I had a paper route in Missouri, and actually like man, I don't know. You didn't have a paper route ever, did you?
I had a paper route for I took over my oldest brother had a paper route, and he was good at it, and he worked it for a while, and then I took over for about 4 days until the first time I had to go collect money because you didn't get paid. You had to go to the collect every door and give them the like little chit or whatever it is. And the first time I did that, I felt so miserable, and somebody didn't give me the money. And I was like, no, I'm never doing this again.
How are you? What do you do in that situation?
I don't know.
You can't intimidate the customer.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man.
Can I have $1.50? No. I guess I'll leave then.
We're in an impasse, I guess.
Yeah, I see.
Yeah.
You have defeated me with logic, sir.
We didn't have to collect on my newspaper, but we did. We got paid 5 cents a paper, I think. And so obviously that incentivizes like more. You want to have more houses on your route.
Of course.
And so when I had my first paper out, it was fine because I could, it was a small enough number of houses that you could put the papers all in the bag that you put on your bike, and everything was fine,
Sure.
And I added a second paper route because obviously 5 cents a paper, want to bump that up.
Yeah. You gotta diversify your revenue streams, Dan.
Exactly. And one opened up that was like right next to my neighborhood. And so now I was completely fucked because it was too many papers to fit in those bags.
Yeah.
And I had to figure out a way to make it so I could almost have like stops.
Yeah.
Oh God, the worst. And then the other thing too is when you had a paper, did you have extra papers, like papers that would go to non-subscribers' houses?
Nope, no extra papers.
So we had on Wednesdays papers that would go to every house, no matter like they weren't subscription based. And so like you'd just have so many damned fucking papers. And so what you'd like to do generally is like you assume no one cares if those get paid. Like they're not paying for these.
Yeah.
So you find a dumpster and you just toss So you do that a lot. And
sure.
I actually ended up getting in trouble because someone called the paper. It's like, I didn't get my extra. What?
Oh, that's brutal.
You're not even a subscriber.
You're
How dare you call
about getting something free? Oh, no.
Yeah,
unacceptable.
That really sucked. That was one of the breaking points for me with the paper route. Was like, I have to deliver these extras to these snitches. The fuck out of here. And it was a little bit later my first real job was at Dairy Queen. I worked at a Dairy Queen. It was terrible. Oof. I didn't understand money really, and so like I would spend a fair amount of my check on Dairy Queen. Like before I got the check. You know?
Okay.
Like I'd just be like, credit me.
You're like the
basket.
bartender. You're like the bartender that's drinking too much of his own booze.
Yeah, it was a little bit like that. Now there's a guy who was working on there's only one person who is generally allowed to work the burgers. Like, putting the burgers through the fire machine or whatever.
Sure. I mean, that's a specialty business. Yeah.
Yeah. And he was a bit of a Satanist, as I recall.
We were always destined to wind up here, Dan.
Yeah.
It was always from the very beginning. That's where we come from.
It seemed appropriate because, like it's charbroiling or whatever, like the flames.
Sure.
The guy who's running the flames, he is into the devil.
Yeah. No. That almost seems like the Dairy Queen manager thought the same thing.
Mm-hmm. I remember him being a pretty all right guy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Yeah, I hated that fucking job. It was so miserable. Just trying to make the I I could not get the dip down for like dipped cones. Like, and I would just end up having like ice cream drop into the hot chocolate all the time. And oh God, it was miserable.
I have
So
not
bad.
I had not really considered it, but there are a lot of opportunities for destroying ice cream if you're not prepared to do the work, you know?
You just can't get the technique down. You're putting like ice cream is staying in the cone barely,
Yeah.
right? And then
Yeah.
you're gonna dip it in something really hot. It's like you gotta have finesse, and I just never got it. Did not get it down.
That happens.
I
That
don't think
happens.
I worked there that long though. I think it was a pretty short, maybe a couple months stint at the old DQ Grill and Chill or Brazier. I'm not entirely sure. I don't know the difference. I should,
Yeah.
but I don't. What was the worst job you ever had other than this podcast?
Well, this podcast is the best thing that's ever happened to me. So, every job at that. I would say probably the work in the graveyard shift at a hotel in Tuscola, Illinois. It was an independently owned hotel too. It wasn't a chain. It was
Mhm.
just some dude who owned it, and his family worked there. And there was this weird, crazy manager lady who was about like maybe waist high,
Mhm.
uh, obsessed with horses. She's like a
Sure.
70-year-old woman who shuffles left and right and talks to me about horses,
They're beautiful creatures.
right?
Man's best friend.
And then she would go home at like 9 and my shift would start in earnest, and I would just fold laundry and wait for occasional lunatics to wander in at like 4 in the morning. And I would get a call from the owner every like 30 minutes on what I should now charge for the room. And it
It's
goes
shifting rates throughout the
it's
night.
shifting rates throughout the night because
Wow.
as the night goes on, you're like, well, we got to fill up these rooms somehow with anything. So
You would
it would
think
go down to like $40. Like it kept dropping. The regular rate is like $79.99. By
Mhm.
4 a.m., you could get in there for a penny and like a smile. Like it was that kind of
you would
that kind of
think
place.
you would think that he wouldn't need to call. There would just be like a chart or
Mm-mm.
something. You know, it
Mm-mm.
doesn't. It seems very bizarre that he'd be like, "All right, I've got the calculator, I got the ticker tape out, and we're."
No, and you need to understand the weirdest part is this is the graveyard shift. This is from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m.
It's
And
awful.
he's calling me the whole time. Like, it's what is going on with this
Yeah,
guy?
go to bed, man.
Yeah, go to bed.
Yeah,
But it wasn't a very successful hotel, so I imagine he was under a lot of stress.
sure. Desperately trying to lower the rates
Yeah,
just enough.
exactly. That's you should probably try a different business if you're
I worked overnights at a gas station for a little while. Yeah, that's the worst. Like I don't know if you had the same like difficulty as me, but I was like, I can't stay up.
yeah.
I did pass out once. I did
Did
fall
you?
asleep at the gas station. And yeah, it was thankfully that wasn't when I mean I got robbed one time, but that was a different gas station and it wasn't an overnight shift.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah,
just,
yeah,
you know, hey, what are you gonna do? You get robbed.
yeah.
But I fell asleep at the overnight one, and someone woke me up. And I was like, "Oh man!"
That's not good.
I
That's
was
not good.
asleep for like 10 minutes on the counter. Oh shit!
That's gonna be on camera.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, very much so.
I don't think I ever fell asleep. I just downed so much coffee and tried to do I was going to college at the time. So I was writing so what wound up happening, here's what wound up happening. I wound up finishing my entire semester's coursework in the first 3 weeks
Mhm.
because I wasn't able to sleep ever, and nobody was coming in from 11 a.m. to 5 a.m.
There's no laundry to fold.
There was no laundry to fold until then, so I was just constantly writing all of these term papers and doing all that stuff because the guy gave us the syllabus in advance. And then I gave him everything, and he was like, "Well, now what do we do?" And I agreed with it. I was like,
Yeah.
well, no, now what do we do?
Yeah,
This is your job.
Seems like yeah, that's
Yeah, this is your problem.
you're the person who tells us what to do.
Yeah, I'm not at fault here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
So
I
then-
just went
then-
insane. I
then
just
you
went
dropped out.
completely insane. Yeah, and then I dropped out.
That was the breaking point for you with college. It's just
Yeah.
like, this professor is unprofessional. I am out of here. I think the worst job I had ever was I worked at an Office Depot, and I was like, it just sucks. I mean, like, a lot of it sucks because they sell so many different things that it's really hard to know where anything is in the store.
Oh, sure.
And you're expected to like be able to answer any question of like, where are the protractors? Like, I don't fucking know.
Of course.
Somewhere.
Very serious, sir. Very seriously. What is a protractor again? Please explain. What is it? Is it one of the? Is it a triangle? It sounds important.
So then also another aspect of the job is like, I mean, they sell a lot of paper, and so you'd have to stock the paper, and paper is really, really heavy.
Yeah.
It's so heavy, and so you're just lifting.
Well, it's a treat.
You're lugging boxes of huge reams of paper up a ladder to like backload the. It was so miserable. And then
No.
there was a guy who was my trainer, and he was super evangelical, and like, I tried to be really polite and be like, yeah, I'm not really interested in hearing this at 8 a.m. I'm just,
Sir, I have a friend at a Dairy Queen that you need to talk to.
he needs your help.
That's the guy you want to talk to. Leave me alone.
Save his soul from the burger.
Save me from you saving my soul.
Yeah, and he wouldn't listen. Like, he wouldn't. He would, just be like, "Yeah, I get what you're saying, but honestly, it's really important." I'm like, And he was like a esteemed longtime worker there, and so
Of course.
like, obviously, I can't. I could complain, but nothing's gonna happen.
No.
He's a central part of the staff.
Yeah.
And so that was miserable, and it would just go on. And then the break room, you're socializing with people. And I to this
I
day,
hate a break room. I hate a break room.
to this day, I am not entirely sure about this, but I think that there was a young lady who worked there with me who was trying to get me to swing with her and her husband.
Okay.
I don't know for sure, but every time we'd be in the break room, there would be some like weird insinuations. I just like I felt so uncomfortable. I was miserable. Yeah, so I quit that job.
Dan, if I know anything about you, my guess is if I were in that situation, I would have interpreted those as wildly obvious, hey, do you want to swing with me and my husband signals? And
Yeah.
you were like,
Yeah, I've been thinking about it for 15 years, and I'm not sure.
I'm getting vibes, but I'm not sure yet.
Yeah, it could go either way, honestly.
Yeah.
I'm not totally sure, but I think it was. I think overtures were made, and so it was before I could really, even consider like the idea that, hey, that's kind of harassment. You got to stop that. I just hated everything else about the job anyway, so I quit. And man, that was an embarrassing quitting. I quit the morning before one of my shifts, and I kept lying to the the boss. Because he kept coming up with ways that I could I didn't want to just quit and be like, place sucks, I hate it, fuck you,
Sure,
I'm out.
yeah.
So I was like, my car won't start. I can't come in, man, I'm sorry.
And I quit. I'm
Yeah.
never coming in again. Guess what? My car has exploded. I
Yeah.
don't know. I just can't tell you that I hate this.
Yeah.
If I did, it would hurt me.
So he offered to send another employee to pick me up. And I was like, yeah, I don't know. I just don't want to like inconvenience them or anything, And he's like, okay, I'll get a taxi for you. And I'm like, I don't want you to have to pay for a taxi.
I'll
That's
get
just...
a taxi for you. Get the fuck out of here.
So
That's
he
a
made-
guy. See, now that's a guy who knew you were quitting.
Yes.
There's no way
Yeah.
that he's
In hindsight, I think he was fucking with me. Yeah.
Yeah, he's got to be fucking with you in that one.
Yeah. So he made like 3 offers or so, and then I kept coming up with like, yeah, I don't know, I don't think so. Then there was a pause, like a nice beat, and he said, I was like, I'm not coming in. Yeah, and then he just yells, "Fuck you," and hung up on me. just couldn't stand that job. It was miserable.
That's a good way to go.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I have you. I've only ever quit a job in like complete shame for wanting to quit the job at all,
Uh-huh.
or if I've already got a better job. Those are
Mm.
the only times that I've ever quit jobs.
Hmm.
And all of the like, it never occurs to me that I could just be like, this sucks.
Yeah. I don't have
That's
to
it.
put up with this.
No, it never occurred to me.
Yeah, yeah. I've left some jobs on decent terms, like giving notice and everything, and everybody,
Yeah.
it's not a terrible job. I just want to go somewhere
Sure,
else.
sure.
My biggest or like sort of longest job was at that movie theater Forum 8
Mhm.
in Columbia, and like we were all friends. Everybody who worked there were all like a posse, basically, and it was just a place where like everything was fucked up. Like we were drinking on the job, smoking weed on the job,
Sure.
all of it. And so my buddy, Dr. Gums, worked there with us.
Mhm.
And I'll never forget when he quit, he had typed up a letter of resignation.
No.
And it was just the silliest thing I've ever seen. But he was very serious. I mean, he was much more of a studious, responsible person than the rest of us. He was just our
Well,
friend.
he
but
became a
was-
doctor.
Yeah. That should give you some sense of.
Yeah. He was a bit of a serious cat.
He was on a track that we were not.
Yeah.
And yeah, so he handled himself with such professionalism that like it was hilarious because it's like you could just not come back and it would be fine.
No one would care.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're not going to give you a bad recommendation. It's fine. Man, quit twice from that movie theater and was fired twice.
Mm,
Good times.
good times.
Those were undignified.
I mean, the last job I had, I was fired in a very undignified manner from the coupon folks.
A slightly morally iffy.
Yeah. Well,
Legally
illegally iffy firing for sure. But yeah, I think that's definitely the like. I've been fired before plenty of times for shit that I did, where it's like, yeah, man, you should have fired me. I agree with you.
Mm-hmm.
But even then, after that, I still had that shame of quitting a job because it's like, no, I can't do this. I have to, there needs to be an excuse or something like that. I can't just say I don't like this.
Yeah.
But when I got fired so brutally, and it was just like, oh, that's right. It's a company that doesn't give a fuck about you. They'll replace you. It doesn't matter. You don't owe them anything. And that changed
actually,
everything.
And that actually brings me to the point that I've been beat around the bush. You're fired.
Listen, in this situation, I think this is for something I've done. I think this is for my existence. I agree with you.
It sucks. Reflecting on a lot of this like work history and these past jobs that were so miserable, it just really makes me filled with a recognition and appreciation for being able to be in the position where this can be a job. Like it's so great, and I appreciate it. And I feel when we have to do something like not have an episode on Monday and push it 2 days late.
Yeah. This is our version of feeling shame
terrible.
for like, yeah, no, I feel this is the worst I've ever felt. Yeah.
It's not the worst you've ever felt. Some of that dramaticness of Infowars is rubbing off on you.
Me? No, I'm not a dramatic person at all, Dan. This happened later in life.
So yeah, I hope everyone's enjoyed a little bit of a walk down bad jobs past, and I hope you're all having a good Monday. And we will be back on Wednesday
Indeed.
for actual present day Alex Jones, unless he's still at the grocery store. And then I don't know what the fuck I'm gonna do, but we'll do something.
I guess we're gonna go to the grocery store.
Maybe. I hope he's back and we can get back to business. But if not, I have a couple of time travel opportunities or ideas. So some of that might be what we end up doing. But
there are backup plans in place, but it's not the first. Yeah, our first goal is to modern day episode.
It seemed like it's time. Come back from the grocery store, Alex. please. It almost feels like that sort of that joke, or I guess it's not a joke for people who it actually happens to, but I don't know if it's ever happened to anybody outside of a movie. But that like dad went to go get a pack of cigarettes and he never
Yeah,
came back.
yeah.
I'm half
Yeah.
worried Alex went to this grocery store and he's not coming
He's
back.
never coming. This is my home now.
I turned on the show on today. Owen Schroyers is wearing a T-shirt.
He's Don Drapering us. That's what he's doing. He's going to California and he's finding enlightenment, or Florida or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. It sucks too, because Owen, like one of the things that was really interesting about that last episode we did with Harrison, it really drove home like how much I'm bored by Owen Schroyer.
Yeah.
You know, like
yeah.
because he's not as bad at his job. He's a little slicker. Anyway, he's bad at it a lot, but he does shut down, the conversation that you're not supposed to have publicly.
Yeah, that's true.
Anyway, we'll be back. Jordan, yeah, we don't need to do a weird sign off or anything.
No, we don't.
Are you sure?
Back. Yeah.
All right, fine.
Okay.
All right. See y'all later.
Okay.